The vast emptiness of space held many secrets, but none quite as interesting as the dark hulk of metal that drifted silently through the Orion Arm. The Brightwing exploration vessel Starseeker had been mapping this sector for 3 standard cycles when their sensors picked up the anomaly. Captain Bright of the Starseeker leaned forward in his command chair, his luminescent wings twitching with curiosity. The object on his view screen was unlike anything he had encountered in his 200 years of space exploration. It was crude, angular, and bore the scars of both time and combat. Analysis. He chirped to his science officer. Officer Glow floated to his station, his wings casting a soft blue light across the pristine white bridge. It appears to be a vessel, Captain. Primitive design, approximately 300 Earth years old. He paused, checking his readings again. Human origin. The bridge crew buzzed with amusement. Humans were known throughout the galaxy as newcomers, barely having achieved faster-than-light travel a century ago. To find one of their ancient vessels this far from Earth was like discovering a stone axe in a quantum laboratory. "Bring it aboard," Captain Bright ordered, still chuckling. "The Museum of Primitive Technologies will be pleased to add this relic to their collection." The Starseeker's tractor beam gently pulled the old warship into its massive cargo hold. As the airlock seal and atmosphere filled the chamber, the true size of the human vessel became apparent. Despite its age, it was impressive, nearly half a kilometer long, with massive gun emplacements clearly visible along its hull. On the Brightwing homeworld, news of the discovery reached Commander James Walker, the human diplomatic attaché to the Brightwing Council. He was reviewing the sensor logs when his eyes widened in recognition. "That's impossible," he whispered, zooming in on the faded markings on the ship's hull. HMS Thunder. She was lost during the first wave. The Brightwing Museum of Primitive Technologies was already preparing a display case. Curator Shine was particularly excited, giving tours to important officials even before the ship arrived. "Notice the crude metal plating," he said, pointing to the holographic display. They hadn't even discovered quantum shielding. And those primitive weapons, simple kinetic accelerators and chemical explosives, it's remarkable they ever managed space travel at all. Commander Walker stood at the back of the tour group, his fists clenched. The HMS Thunder wasn't just any old ship. She was a legend, one of Earth's first FTL-capable warships. She had disappeared during humanity's first encounters with hostile alien life, taking her secrets with her. When the Starseeker finally arrived at the homeworld, Walker was the first to request permission to board the ancient vessel. The Brightwings, amused by his interest, granted it immediately. "Just don't hurt yourself on all that sharp metal," Curator Shine called after him, generating laughs from his fellow Brightwings. Walker's boots echoed through the empty corridors of the Thunder. Emergency lights, powered by nearly immortal nuclear batteries, cast a faint red glow. The ship was remarkably intact, no signs of hull breach or combat damage. It had simply been abandoned. He made his way to the bridge, his heart pounding. The command center was like stepping into a history book. Hardened displays, manual controls, and thick armor plating everywhere. This was from an era when humans built ships to last, designed to take punishment that would crack modern vessels in half. Walker's hand brushed across the captain's chair, wiping away centuries of dust. The ship's log was still there, preserved in its hardened case. He carefully removed it, knowing this could explain one of humanity's greatest maritime mysteries. As he read, his expression grew grave. The Thunder hadn't been defeated in battle or lost to an accident. She had been deliberately hidden, preserved like a time capsule. The last log entry chilled him. "To whoever finds this ship, she is humanity's insurance policy. Everything about her is designed to work forever, maintained by automated systems until she's needed again. If you're reading this, you might need her sooner than you think. The weapons we built to fight our first war still work. They'll work forever. That's why we left her here, waiting. Because sometimes the old ways are the best ways." Walker looked around the bridge with new eyes. The Brightwings might be laughing now, but something told him their amusement wouldn't last. After all, humanity hadn't built ships like the Thunder for fun. They had built them for war. The Brightwing Council chamber erupted in chaos. The massive holographic display at its center showed their outer defense fleet dissolving into bright explosions against the dark backdrop of space. The Shadow Fleet had appeared without warning, their black ships cutting through the Brightwing's most advanced defensive systems like paper. Commander Walker stood at the back of the chamber, watching the panic spread. The Brightwing's wings, usually glowing with soft, peaceful colors, now flickered in rapid patterns of fear and distress. "Our quantum shields are useless," Admiral Beam shouted, his wings flashing danger red. Their weapons passed right through them, as if they weren't even there. Another explosion lit up the display. The pride of the Brightwing fleet, their newest dreadnought, Eternal Light, split in two under the Shadow Fleet's assault. Thousands of crew members, their lights extinguishing forever, scattered into the void. "How many ships have we lost?" Council Leader Dawn asked, her voice trembling. 30% of our defense fleet is gone," Admiral Beam reported. "The Shadow Fleet hasn't lost a single vessel. Our weapons can't penetrate their defenses, and they're somehow bypassing ours completely." Walker watched the tactical display with growing concern. The Shadow Fleet ships were using some kind of phase shift technology, allowing their energy weapons to ignore the Brightwing's quantum shields. It was clever and absolutely devastating. "We need to evacuate the homeworld," someone suggested, causing more panic. "There's no time," Admiral Beam responded. "At their current speed, they'll be within striking range of our planet in less than 6 hours. We've already called for help from our allies, but nobody can reach us that quickly." Walker's mind raced back to the HMS Thunder, sitting ignored in the museum's cargo bay. He stepped forward, drawing surprised looks from the Brightwings. Humans rarely spoke in council meetings. "There might be another way," he said, his voice cutting through the chaos. "The human warship you found, it uses different technology. Completely different." Council Leader Dawn turned to him, her wings dim with skepticism. "That ancient vessel, it's a museum piece, Commander. Its weapons are centuries old." "Exactly," Walker replied. "The Shadow Fleet has obviously found a way to counter your modern defenses, but they won't be prepared for what the Thunder carries. Nobody uses weapons like that anymore. Primitive kinetic weapons," Admiral Beam scoffed, "against phase-shifted quantum shields." Another explosion lit up the display. 3 more Brightwing ships gone in an instant. "Think about it," Walker pressed. "Your quantum shields work by detecting energy weapons and creating corresponding frequency barriers. The Shadow Fleet is somehow shifting their energy attacks to slip through. But the Thunder doesn't use energy weapons. She uses physical projectiles, actual chunks of metal accelerated to relativistic speeds. You can't phase shift against that." The council chamber fell silent as his words sank in. Even with their advanced technology, the basic laws of physics still applied. Mass times acceleration equals force, and the Thunder's railguns could accelerate mass to terrifying speeds. "The ship is too old," Curator Shine protested from his seat. "It would take weeks to restore it to working condition, if it's even possible." "No," Walker said, remembering the captain's log. "The Thunder was designed to last forever. Her maintenance systems have kept her ready. We just need to power her up." Another alarm blared. The Shadow Fleet had broken through the outer defense line completely. In the display, their black ships moved inexorably toward the Brightwing homeworld, their formation perfect and unstoppable. Council Leader Dawn's wings shifted to a decisive purple. "Commander Walker, you have 2 hours. If you can get that ship operational, it's yours to command. If not," she looked at the approaching enemy fleet, "then we need that time to evacuate as many of our people as possible." Walker was already moving, calling on his communicator to the small human engineering team stationed on the homeworld. The Brightwings had laughed at the Thunder, treated it like an obsolete relic. Now it might be their only hope. As he ran toward the museum, he remembered the last lines of the captain's log. Sometimes the old ways are the best ways. He was about to find out if that was true. The fate of an entire civilization might depend on whether a 300-year-old human warship could still fight. The museum's cargo bay echoed with urgent activity as Walker led his small team of human engineers toward the HMS Thunder. Time was their enemy now. They had less than 2 hours to bring a 3-century-old warship back to life. Chief Miller, take the engine room. Tom, weapons systems. Lisa, get life support and gravity online, Walker commanded as they approached the massive vessel. The Brightwing curator, Shine, followed them nervously, his wings dimmed to an anxious blue. "This is madness," Shine muttered. "The ship is an antique. It belongs in a museum, not in combat." Walker ignored him, placing his hand on the Thunder's hull access panel. To everyone's surprise, it lit up immediately, scanning his palm. Emergency protocol activated. Human DNA detected. Access granted, the ship's computer announced in an ancient but clear voice. Inside, emergency lighting cast everything in a dim red glow. The team split up, racing to their assigned stations. Walker headed straight for the bridge, his footsteps echoing through corridors that hadn't seen human presence in centuries. Engineering to Commander. Chief Miller's voice crackled over the ship's internal comm. "Sir, you're not going to believe this. The fusion cores are in perfect condition. The maintenance systems kept everything pristine. It's like she was built yesterday." A small smile crossed Walker's face. The Thunder's designers had built her to last, using technology that was simple but nearly indestructible, while modern ships relied on complex quantum systems that could fail in countless ways. The Thunder used brute force and redundancy. "What about weapons?" he called to Tom. "Rail guns are charged and ready. Nuclear torpedo tubes are clear. Magazine is full. Someone kept this old girl ready for war, sir." Lisa's voice joined in. "Life support cycling up. Artificial gravity stable. Hull integrity at 98%. She's solid, Commander." The bridge came to life around Walker as he sat in the captain's chair. Hardened displays flickered on, showing tactical data and ship status. Everything was exactly where it should be. No fancy holograms or neural interfaces, just solid, reliable controls. Curator Shine watched in amazement as the ancient warship awakened. "Impossible," he whispered. "How can it still function after all this time?" "Because humans built things differently back then," Walker explained. "Running system checks. We were just starting to explore space. We didn't have fancy quantum shields or phase technology. Everything had to work perfectly, every time, or people died. So we overbuilt everything." A warning alarm blared through the ship. On the tactical display, the Shadow Fleet had destroyed another line of Brightwing defenses. They were getting closer. "Commander Walker," Council Leader Dawn's voice came through the comm. "Status report. The Thunder is operational," he responded. "But there's a problem. We need a crew. I have 4 humans. We need at least 20 people to run this ship effectively in combat." There was a pause before Dawn replied. "How quickly can you train Brightwings on your systems?" Walker looked at the simple, robust controls. They were designed to be operated by humans with minimal training. "Fast. The systems are basic. Point and shoot. But your people need to understand. This isn't like your ships. It's physical. Brutal. When we fire the main guns, the whole ship shakes. When we launch torpedoes, you feel it in your bones." "You have volunteers waiting outside," Dawn said. "They're from the crews of our destroyed ships. They want to fight." Walker nodded to Shine. "Let them in. We have 30 minutes to turn them into a human warship crew." The next half hour was organized chaos. Brightwing volunteers, their wings glowing with determination, learned ancient human combat systems. They adapted quickly, their natural intelligence helping them grasp the straightforward but alien technology. "Remember," Walker told them as they took their stations, "everything on this ship is about physics. Mass, Velocity, impact. We don't try to outsmart the enemy's defenses. We just hit them so hard that it doesn't matter. The tactical display showed the Shadow Fleet approaching their final position. The last Brightwing defenders were falling back to protect the homeworld. All stations report ready, Chief Miller announced. Walker looked at his mixed human-alien crew, all watching him for orders. The HMS Thunder hummed with power, her ancient weapons armed and ready. It was time to show the galaxy why humanity's primitive weapons had never really gone out of style. "Take us out," Walker commanded. "Let's go hunting." The HMS Thunder's engines roared to life, a deep rumble that shook the entire museum complex. The Brightwing crew members' wings flickered with surprise at the raw physical power, so different from their usual silent quantum drives. Main fusion core at 100%, Chief Miller reported from engineering. Secondary core spinning up. "She's got more power than the specs suggested, sir. They built her with room to grow." Walker stood on the bridge, watching as his hastily trained crew worked the ancient systems. The Thunder's design was a testament to human engineering. Simple enough for anyone to learn quickly, but incredibly powerful when used correctly. "Weapon systems online," Tom called out. "All railguns charge. Nuclear torpedo tubes ready. Point defense grid active." He paused, checking another reading. "Sir, the ammunition fabricators are still working. We've got unlimited rounds for the railguns." The massive cargo bay doors opened ahead of them, revealing the space battle raging above the Brightwing homeworld. The Shadow Fleet's black ships moved like a swarm of deadly insects, their weapons tearing through the remaining Brightwing defenders. "Helm, take us out," Walker ordered. "Nice and steady." The Thunder lifted off, her ancient thrust vectors precisely controlled by the ship's computer. As they cleared the museum, Walker could hear the Brightwing crew members muttering in surprise. The old warship moved with unexpected grace for something so massive and seemingly primitive. "Multiple contacts," the Brightwing sensor operator announced, her wings flashing with alarm. "3 Shadow Fleet destroyers breaking off to intercept us." Walker smiled grimly. "Perfect. They'll expect us to have the same weaknesses as the Brightwing ships. Tom, prepare a demonstration. Target the lead vessel with Railgun Battery 1. Single shot." "Railgun charged," Tom reported. Mass driver spinning up. Projectile loaded. Depleted uranium core with tungsten carbide jacket. Velocity calculation complete. The Shadow Fleet ships approached confidently, their phase-shifted shields seeming to distort the space around them. They had destroyed dozens of more advanced vessels today. One ancient human warship posed no threat. "Fire," Walker commanded. The Thunder shuddered as the railgun fired. The hypervelocity round crossed the space between ships in less than a second. The Shadow Fleet vessel's shields flickered, and then failed completely as basic physics took over. The kinetic impact tore through the ship's hull, the raw force ignoring their advanced defenses entirely. Silence fell on the bridge as the enemy ship split apart, secondary explosions consuming it from within. "How?" the Brightwing weapons officer whispered. "Their shields can't stop something that's not energy," Walker explained. "The Thunder's railguns fire physical projectiles at relativistic speeds. You can't phase shift against mass and velocity. That's just physics." The remaining Shadow Fleet destroyers broke formation, suddenly unsure. Their tactical advantage relied on negating energy weapons. They had no defense against simple kinetic impacts delivered with devastating force. "Multiple ships incoming," the sensor operator reported. "They're adjusting their shield configurations." "Doesn't matter," Walker said. "You can't adjust physics. All batteries, fire at will. Show them why humanity kept these weapons around." The Thunder's full arsenal came to life. Railguns thundered, sending hypervelocity rounds through enemy ships with brutal efficiency. Point defense systems filled space with clouds of high-speed metal, shredding smaller craft that came too close. "Sir," Chief Miller called from engineering, "the main guns are drawing more power than expected. the old girls exceeding her design specs. The Thunder shook with each salvo, her human and Brightwing crew working together in perfect synchronization. Modern ships fought with precision and elegance. The Thunder fought with raw power and unstoppable force. Message from Brightwing Command, the communications officer announced. They're asking if we can protect their capital ships while they regroup. Walker looked at his crew. The Brightwing's wings were glowing with fierce pride now, understanding at last why humans had built ships this way. Sometimes the simplest solution was the best solution. Tell them yes, he ordered, and inform Command that we're not just going to protect them. He watched as another Shadow Fleet vessel came apart under the Thunder's relentless barrage. We're going to teach them how humans used to fight wars. The ancient warship moved forward, her weapons ready, her crew united in purpose. The Shadow Fleet was about to learn a harsh lesson about underestimating primitive technology. Space lit up with continuous flashes as the HMS Thunder engaged the main body of the Shadow Fleet. The ancient warship moved with surprising agility, her thick armor shrugging off hits that would have destroyed more modern vessels. Multiple targets, bearing 030, called the Brightwing sensor operator, her wings pulsing with excitement. Enemy flagship detected within the formation. Walker studied the tactical display. The Shadow Fleet had adapted their strategy, spreading out to avoid presenting easy targets for the Thunder's devastating railguns. But they had made a critical mistake. They were still thinking in terms of modern naval combat. They're trying to force us into a long-range engagement, Walker explained to his crew. They think we'll fight like a Brightwing ship. He smiled grimly. Chief Miller, give me full power to the engines. Tom, load the scatter rounds in all forward batteries. Scatter rounds? Asked a Brightwing weapons officer, wings flickering in confusion. Watch and learn. Tom replied, loading the special ammunition. Old human trick. One shot becomes many shots. The Thunder surged forward, her massive engines pushing her straight toward the heart of the enemy fleet. The Shadow Fleet responded with a barrage of energy weapons, their phase-shifted beams seeking weaknesses in the ancient vessel's defenses. Hull temperature rising, Lisa reported from engineering. Armor holding at 92% integrity. These old plates can take a beating. Sir. Return fire, all forward batteries. Walker commanded. Scatter rounds, maximum spread. The Thunder's railguns roared. Each round split apart mid-flight, turning into clouds of hypervelocity projectiles. The Shadow Fleet's sophisticated shields, designed to stop energy weapons, proved useless against the storm of physical impacts. 3 enemy ships disappeared in massive explosions. They're trying to flank us, the tactical officer reported. Let them try, Walker responded. Activate the point defense grid. Show them another human surprise. The Thunder's close-in weapon systems came online. Hundreds of smaller railguns began tracking targets, filling space around the ship with a lethal web of tungsten rounds. 2 Shadow Fleet frigates that ventured too close were literally shredded. Message from the enemy flagship, the communications officer announced. They're demanding our surrender. They say our primitive vessel cannot hope to defeat their entire fleet. Walker laughed. Send them our response. All batteries, fire. The Thunder's main guns fired in sequence, the recoil making the massive ship shudder. The Shadow Fleet's flagship took multiple direct hits, its advanced hull crumpling under the kinetic impacts. Secondary explosions chained through its structure as ammunition stores detonated. Enemy fleet is breaking formation. The sensor operator called out, her wings glowing brightly with excitement. They're falling back. But Walker wasn't finished. They came here to destroy your world. He reminded his Brightwing crew members. Let's show them why that was a mistake. Load the nuclear torpedoes. The Thunder's torpedo tubes opened, revealing weapons that hadn't been used in centuries. Modern ships had long abandoned nuclear weapons, considering them too crude and destructive. The Shadow Fleet had no defenses against them. Nuclear launch authorized, Tom announced. Targeting solutions ready. Fire tubes 1 through 6, Walker ordered. Let's give them something to remember us by. The torpedoes streaked out, their primitive propulsion systems making them nearly invisible to modern sensors. The Shadow Fleet realized the danger too late. 6 suns briefly ignited in space, the electromagnetic pulses from the explosions destroying delicate systems throughout the enemy fleet. Multiple enemy ships disabled, Tactical reported. Their phase shields are offline. They're completely vulnerable. Walker stood from his command chair. All batteries, continuous fire. Don't let them recover. Show them what happens when they threaten your homeworld. The Thunder's guns spoke again and again, methodically destroying the helpless Shadow Fleet vessels. The few ships that maintained power turned and fled, leaving their crippled companions behind. On the bridge, Human and Brightwing crew members worked together in perfect harmony, their earlier doubts forgotten. The Thunder had proved that sometimes the old ways were the most effective ways. Enemy fleet is in full retreat, Tactical confirmed. We've won. Walker looked at his crew, seeing the pride in their glowing wings and determined faces. No, he corrected. We've just begun. Signal the Brightwing fleet. Tell them to form up on us. We're going to teach the Shadow Fleet a lesson they'll never forget. The ancient warship moved forward, her guns still ready, her crew united in victory. The galaxy was about to learn why humanity's warships were built to last forever. The next 3 hours transformed the battle completely. With the HMS Thunder leading the charge, the remaining Brightwing fleet had reorganized into an effective combat formation. The ancient warship's success had shown them a new way to fight. Enemy reinforcements detected, announced the sensor operator. 5 heavy cruisers dropping out of FTL at Sector 7. Walker watched as the new Shadow Fleet vessels emerge. They were larger than the previous ships, clearly designed for heavy combat. But he noticed something different about their shield configurations. They've modified their defenses, he observed. Look at those energy patterns. They're trying to create physical barriers instead of phase shields. The Brightwing tactical officer's wings flickered with concern. Will our weapons still be effective? They're trying to adapt to our tactics, Walker explained. But they're making another mistake. Chief Miller, status of the main gun capacitors. Charged beyond recommended levels, sir, Miller reported from engineering. These old systems had massive safety margins built in. We can push them harder. Walker nodded. Load the penetrator rounds. Full power to the forward batteries. He opened a channel to the Brightwing fleet. All ships, follow our lead. When their shields go down, hit them with everything you have. The Thunder's engines flared as she moved to engage the new threats. The Shadow Fleet cruisers moved into an attack formation, their modified shields glowing visibly in space. Enemy ships launching fighters, Tactical reported. Perfect. Walker smiled. Activate the flak grid. The Thunder's point defense system came alive again, but this time firing specialized ammunition. Space around the ship filled with expanding clouds of superheated metal fragments. The enemy fighters flew straight into this deadly field, their sophisticated shields useless against the simple physics of thousands of white-hot metal shards. Main batteries locked on target, Tom announced. Penetrator rounds loaded. Fire all forward guns, Walker commanded. The Thunder shuddered as her railguns fired in sequence. The specially designed rounds were built to defeat exactly this kind of defense. Their hardened tips created a breach point that the rest of the round followed through. The lead Shadow Fleet cruiser's new shields flared brilliantly, and then failed, the ship's hull splitting open from the massive kinetic impact. Brightwing vessels, attack pattern Delta. Walker ordered. The Allied ships moved in perfect coordination, their energy weapons tearing into the enemy's exposed hulls where the Thunder's guns had breached their defenses. 2 more Shadow Fleet cruisers exploded as the combined attack proved too much for them. The remaining enemy ships attempted to retreat, but the Thunder wasn't finished with them yet. Launch nuclear torpedoes, proximity detonation, Walker ordered. Let's make sure they can't report back about our capabilities. The ancient weapons streaked out once again, detonating in a carefully calculated pattern that caught both remaining cruisers in their blast radius. The electromagnetic pulses from the explosions left them dead in space, their sophisticated systems permanently fried. Enemy forces neutralized, Tactical reported, pride evident in their voice. No more hostile contacts on sensors. The bridge crew erupted in celebration. Brightwing wings glowing with victory colors. They had done what seemed impossible hours ago. Defeated a technologically superior force using weapons their society had dismissed as primitive. Message from Brightwing Command. The communications officer announced. They're asking for our weapon specifications. They want to begin incorporating our technology into their fleet. Walker looked around at his mixed crew, seeing how humans and Brightwings had learned to work together, combining the best of both their technologies and tactics. Tell them we'll do better than that, he replied. We'll teach them everything we know about old-school human warfare. Sometimes the simplest solution is the best solution. The Thunder hung in space above the Brightwing homeworld, her ancient hull scared but unbowed. She had proven that there was still a place for primitive human engineering in a galaxy of advanced technology. More importantly, she had shown that victory doesn't always go to the most sophisticated force, but to the one that remembers the fundamental principles of combat. The Brightwing crew members looked at their ship with new respect, understanding now why humans had built their vessels this way. Sometimes, the old ways weren't just reliable. They were exactly what you needed to win. Set course for home, Walker ordered. The Thunder has earned her rest, but something tells me this old girl's fighting days aren't over yet. The ancient warship turned gracefully, her engines glowing as she led the combined fleet back to safety. She had roared to life when needed most, and the galaxy would never forget it. 1 year after the Battle of Brightwing Prime, the HMS Thunder stood proudly in a new dock, no longer relegated to a museum, but serving as the centerpiece of the Joint Military Academy. Her dark hull gleamed under the twin suns, restored to her full glory, but bearing her battle scars with pride. Commander Walker, now Admiral Walker, stood on the Academy's observation deck, watching as mixed groups of human and Brightwing cadets filed into the Thunder's massive training halls. The ship had become more than just a weapon. She was now a symbol of partnership between two species. The latest modifications are complete, Chief Miller reported, approaching with a tablet. We've installed the hybrid defense system. Old-school armor combined with modern quantum fields. Best of both worlds. Walker nodded, studying the specifications. The Thunder had sparked a revolution in military thinking. The Brightwings had learned that advanced technology wasn't always the answer, while humans had gained new appreciation for alien innovations. How are the new cadets performing? Walker asked, watching another group board the ship. Excellently, sir. The Brightwings have a natural talent for our old combat systems. They understand now why we kept things simple and robust, and our human crews are learning a lot from their energy manipulation techniques. Below them, in the Thunder's main hangar, instructors were teaching a combined class about railgun maintenance. The Brightwing students' wings glowed with fascination as they learned about the pure physics behind the weapons that had saved their world. Message from Earth Command. A young officer announced, approaching with a datapad. They've approved the expansion of the program. 10 more Earth nations are sending their old warships to be recommissioned under Joint Command. Walker smiled. The Thunder had proven that older designs still had their place in modern warfare. Across human space, mothballed vessels were being pulled out of storage, their simple but effective systems perfect for training the new combined forces. The Shadow Fleet hasn't been seen in any settled system since the battle, the officer continued. Word of what happened here has spread. Nobody expected a museum piece to change the balance of power in the galaxy. In the distance, a new ship was taking shape in the construction yards. It was clearly influenced by both cultures. The solid, practical lines of human engineering merged with the elegant efficiency of Brightwing design. The first of a new class of warships, combining the best aspects of both species' military philosophy. Admiral, a Brightwing Council member approached, wings glowing with formal colors. The memorial is ready for your approval. Walker followed them to a new installation near the Academy's entrance. A massive holographic display showed the Thunder in battle, her guns blazing as she defended the Brightwing homeworld. Below it, words in both human and Brightwing script read, "Sometimes the old ways are the best ways." The younger generation needs to remember, the council member said, not just the victory, but the lesson. That wisdom doesn't always mean complexity. That strength can come from simplicity. The Thunder's original crew had become instructors at the Academy, teaching both species the value of their combined knowledge. Human determination paired with Brightwing innovation. Ancient reliability enhanced by modern efficiency. Latest class rankings, sir, Chief Miller added, showing another report. This year's graduates are showing unprecedented combat effectiveness. Every fleet in known space wants them. Walker watched as the day's final training group emerged from the Thunder. Humans and Brightwings together, their shared experience having forged bonds stronger than their differences. They had learned that neither species had all the answers, but together they were stronger than ever. Schedule a live fire exercise for next week, Walker ordered. Let's remind everyone why these old ships were built to last forever. The Thunder's engines rumbled to life, preparing for another training mission. She was no longer a relic or a museum piece. She had become a teacher, a protector, and a bridge between cultures. As the ancient warship rose from her dock, her mixed crew at their stations, Walker remembered the words from her original captain's log. Sometimes the old ways are the best ways. The Thunder had proven those words true, and in doing so, she had helped forge a legacy that would last for generations to come. The galaxy had laughed at a relic, but that laughter had turned to respect. The Thunder had taught them all that true strength doesn't always come from having the newest technology. Sometimes it comes from remembering the fundamental truths that never change. And that was a lesson worth passing on.